Hi everyone, and welcome to today's seminar here, courtesy of SheFAB, a joint enterprise of SheFanPro and Fintech and Blockchain Association. We're here today with our fabulous guest speaker, Christopher Muller. He is an amazing human being, and he is the founder of Ecosis. And he's a good friend of ours as well. He's done some amazing work, and will continue to do some amazing work, I'm sure, in the space. And Christopher, just to say thank you for being here today as our guest speaker. And really can't wait to hear everything that you've got to share with us today, because it's always great fun to have you around. So whenever you're ready, Christopher, just take it from there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, hi everybody. Thank you very much for having me here. Like always, the second time now, and it's always a really lovely session. And yeah, I'm looking forward to look with you into our future, more or less. Lots of you recently see a big beer market, but I believe good projects and people with a good mission and vision here will survive that and will make the best out of it. So to say, you can say there will be upcoming exciting times. Maybe not end of this year, maybe end of this year, maybe next year, but I really believe we will see a lot of amazing things. And yeah, I'm looking forward to discuss these things here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's definitely been a challenging year, and I think that the challenges aren't behind us yet. But yeah, just it's great to have you here. So how have you been doing?
Yeah. So let me share my screen and we go through some few slides just to one moment where so we talk about some major topics here. 1 second, I need to get used to now, where is it? I always use Google Meet, and this is why I'm looking for a button in the corners where it isn't right now. So let me have a quick look. Okay, I see it.
You got it, perfect.
So I was not sure if I want to share my screen, if I'm now gone. All right. Beautiful. Okay, so yeah. So what I would like to talk with you about is more or less the next area. So I mean the mass adoption, because as we see, crypto recently is that crypto is more like, some would hate it when I say it, but I would like to say this is kind of a bubble. But I don't mean like a .com bubble or something like this. I more mean like most of the crypto projects you see out there are done for other crypto protocols, so to say. So they're utilities for utilities within the crypto space. And we see only few examples of how we can use it in the real world. And I believe the next step for the whole crypto space, so Web3 and DeFi, Metaverse and NFTs, is more like to build utilities that you can use in the real world, or to adopt the advantages of crypto to the real world. Yeah, and this is what I would like to talk with you about today. So a little bit of background of myself, why I'm doing what I'm doing, and why I have to focus, especially within the crypto world, and why I believe there's big opportunities to build a better future. Then we can have a look into Web3 and DeFi milestones. Nothing too big, just a little catch up of what are bigger protocols out there, bigger utilities we use, and I believe there's big potential to adopt it to the real world. We talk about real world practicality in general. So what does it mean? What does the real world out there really need recently? And where is the intersection with the solutions what DeFi and Web3 provides recently? Well, the market in generally, how is the crypto market recently? Just a few numbers. Then have a quick look into the real market generally. So to have a look about what are examples of having crypto benefits in the real world, and the metaverse market relatively briefly, because we talk a lot about, or I love to talk about a lot of real world, but metaverse is something what I mean with it as well. And I will give some hints at the very last session, part of the session, what I mean with this. So yeah, just a few things about me. I'm Christopher Muller. I'm the founder of Ecosis Network. Technically, I'm the CEO as well, but I'm more like to focus it on the founder stuff. And what I'm doing here is, first of all, my goal is to build solutions for passive income for everyone. Because at the end, what you can imagine that the big players out there, like the bigger investors, developers out there, and those things, what they do is they live out of passive incomes. They live out of side revenue streams, never pay things off their pocket. They pay things out of revenues. And a long time ago, I was wondering about how to adopt this trick, if you like. So it's not really a trick, it's just a routine to the average Joe. And years ago, I noticed that when you want to build sustainable income, it's more about to have the correct infrastructure on the market. So it's not really about this is not doable. It's more like how we do so. And the question is, how is the future market look like? You know, for example, will people work in the future that much like they do nowadays or in the past? How will people earn income generally? Is it more because of a combination of multiple income streams, or is it like you are used to in a classic world, in a traditional world, that you just have one income stream, and so on and so forth? And I have seen that during with the trend of Generation Z, millennials are who are more in the internet, have multiple interests at the same time, and all these things. I was wondering about, okay, I believe the way how people fill their everyday life, so to say, will look relatively different, much more spread over several fields in a lifetime. And I believe the passive or the income streams will look like this. There are a lot of influencers out there, a lot of coaches out there, and it's more and more common that the market is like you as an individual in the internet. You can be part of several communities and several products, if you like so. And this is how you can, with your engagement, can get rewarded. And this is how I believe the future will look like. I'm personally used to software development for 10 years right now. I mean, system administration, all this stuff. I have started this years ago only because I wanted to understand technologies, because I have seen the trend somehow. But I'm not into blockchain since that long time. It's more like 5 years now that I have arrived into the blockchain scene. And at the very beginning, I was like, yeah, maybe on the free market as well, do it somehow. And you need to understand, I am from the very, very left wing, so to say. I'm more like in the middle, and I don't separate in left or right anymore. For me, it's all about everybody needs to have existence rights, you know. Everybody needs to have enough money. Don't worry about to be a creative and all these things. And this is what I think is the future. And hopefully with stuff like blockchains, DeFi, and all this stuff, I have seen solutions out there. Well, and since 2.5 years, I was like, okay, I start my own company, which is all about passive income. To be honest, at the very beginning, it went not so well. Not so well means my solution was built for DAOs out there, decentralized autonomous organizations, which I believe are the future of organizations, the future of enterprises, of companies. And I was like, how can you build a financial infrastructure that these DAOs are backed passively with money, so to say? And this was all token based. So it was built out in protocol, which is deployed on another smart contract based platform. So something like Ethereum. I noticed there are multiple things which won't work out. First of all, from the project or for this really ambitious mission I have, the vision I have, I need to have something which it's a dedicated blockchain. So I cannot be dependent on other blockchains. So that's the first thing. The second thing, what I really have learned doing the crisis 23 is the whole bearish market. Mathematically, this cannot be a win-win market. Mathematically, it's more like when dozens of people put money into a pool and prices go up because of this, and there will be a time that a lot of people will need their money, which is normal for recession times, inflation times, that will mean that the less people adopted, so the less people invested into such currencies like Bitcoin and stuff, will lose money effectively. So what it means technically is that one side of the market is just taking the money out of the side of the other side of the market. So, and during this time, I really have realized, okay, there are solutions to make it more sustainable. Well, and this is what I'm working on. But any questions so far, by the way? I just was doing a monologue here, but maybe you have any questions also.
Yeah, no, it's really fascinating, and you know the vision and everything's really really interesting, you know, because I think we definitely, you know, the world and the way that we do things is definitely changing, and I think, you know, it's exciting. I think it's going to have its own challenges. I mean, do you foresee any particular challenges moving ahead with you know, with regards to the vision that you have, and you know, maybe you know, it being adopted and people, you know, do you think it'll be warmly invited, or will it meet with you know, obstructions, and if so, why?
Yeah, so the thing is, what I see is when especially this situation today, this summer or this autumn 23, people are more and more looking for alternatives. And the interesting thing is that most of the people are not looking for an alternative to our cash, our euros, dollars, pounds, or whatever. They just want to have the money somewhere safe. And to come back to the very beginning where I meant the big players out there, the whales, the dolphins, paying bills out of their revenue. I believe what it comes all about today and nowadays is to put money to work. But the question is how to do so as riskless as possible, right? And these days, this is really confusing for one half of the audience. For example, one half is like, yeah, crypto, nice idea, but maybe my money is gone. I need something more effectively, something instantly, something what I can do right now, which is not so risky. And other people are like, and I'm somewhere in the middle, to be honest. The other people are more like, I just want to have my financial freedom. I know it's about speculation. I know it's about trading, and I put my money somewhere which is really volatile. These are the two things, and the two approaches are correct at the end. But the problem is, if everybody does the first approach, like speculating on something, and Bitcoin, for example, I would say can be a good payment solution. I would say it's more still store value, a digital gold or so. But even this, you can use it as a payment solution. The problem is if everybody puts money into and needs the money somewhere else, because this is not liquidatable directly. For example, you cannot buy a product with a Bitcoin, and the people need cash between to buy a product and have Bitcoins. It means that the prices crash. And this is something that most people, the second part of our society, let me say it like this, is very afraid of. But especially you, me, we have seen what beautiful sites DeFi and Web3 have, right? Let's take this opportunity here and get to the next step. So what have we seen so far in DeFi and Web3? And I believe there are some really beautiful solutions out there, which are not directly solving the problem when it comes to risk and volatility, but sometimes you want volatility, right? So let's stay in this bubble, more or less, and have a look into what is already existing, what is already done. And I personally was falling in love with these protocols here. So we have MakerDAO, we have Uniswap, we have SushiSwap, we have alleviate, and we have Compound. I believe if you are out of the crypto space, you're from the crypto space, sorry, and it means that you have heard of it or you already have used it. So I would say that start with MakerDAO and Aave. These both protocols, because the rest are kind of clones, more or less, these both protocols have innovated something which is not really innovated, but which was really, really needed. For example, MakerDAO. the principles of market making is nothing new. The principle of market making is something which comes out of the traditional, from the traditional finance. And what it means is when you have assets, for example, and you want to swap these assets without selling one asset, for example, an asset, a stock, you're selling a stock, then you have the cash and you can buy another stock or so. You have this market making principles, which means you open up a pool with two assets and then you swap these things. And this was meant for stocks or for soft assets. So you have derivatives for example, gold or silver or something like this, or any other commodities. This is the principle out of Wall Street, if you like, so yeah. And MakerDAO has innovated this or have invented this in the crypto space, but in a very automated approach, which means that if you have two assets and you want to provide liquidity, or you want to open up a pool so people can swap these assets, so they can start to trade within these assets, you automatically can open up a pool which manages for example, the redistribution or the rewards for you. Let's say you have two assets and you want to give them away, so it's used as a liquidity so other people can trade it. You want to earn some fees of this, okay? This is how central exchanges are working as well. This is nothing new, but in this way, it's more like on-chain, so you can do the soft assets on-chain. So ERC20 tokens, for example, and there are some interesting pools you can do this with NFTs, but these NFTs are tokenized as well. Anyway, and this is pretty usable. This is really needed because if you have any soft assets out there, you just can instantly open up a pool and have your pools or your liquidity pools where people can trade it and earn. And you as a liquidity provider and everybody else can contribute as well with their liquidity, can earn rewards because of these fees made from these trades, which is beautiful. This is relatively abstract, and we use it now for some tokens out there. And honestly, 90% of these tokens are not something which is really needed, but it's more like it's the gold rush recently, and this is why there are dozens of projects out there. But let's imagine, okay, we can do this with other assets, like we tokenize properties, real estates out there, tokenize businesses, little stores or whatever. Even when it comes to governance solutions, we can tokenize some few things, tokenize contracts and whatever, because there's somehow value in it. That means that with this principles, we can trade literally everything out there. So this is just MakerDAO, an abstract solution, but something which is, I believe, something really, really needed in the real world as well. Uniswap is really interesting because what they do is they are built on top of MakerDAO at the end, but they are giving this all more better and practical user interface. So like you just have these graphical user interface where you just swap one token to another and that's it. And because of this generation of applications, all upcoming applications become more slick, more practical, more minimalistic, but easier to understand. And Uniswap is doing the same more or less, but what I like way more bigger. They do this cross-chain and they are providing bridge swapping, bridge liquidity pools as well. And this is something I find really awesome. Then we have Aave and Compound. They do the same. They this is lending platforms, and the most of you may know that one of the biggest markets, especially in the financial market, is one of the biggest global markets generally. Lending is the biggest market within the financial market. And the reason is relatively easy. People need assets, and you can give assets away, and with you can earn some interest on it. And this is how you can put money to work, and other people can use your money to work with it. So I find this is something from the traditional market as well. And by the way, all these 5 applications I'm talking about are all from the traditional market, but very useful. But the problem is, well, they are only useful for on-chain stuff. They're only useful for assets, for protocols, for tokens, which are on-chain somehow. But the problem is not really solved when it comes to real-world thing. There is Chainlink. I could have listed here this as well, but there's Chainlink, which provides oracles, which are collecting real-world data and tokenize them, if you like so, and or bringing them on-chain, these data. So you can, within protocols, within smart contracts, within decentralized applications, you can use these real-world data. But in my opinion, this is just the beginning, because the world is about digitization. And the more the world is about digitization and globalization, the more it needs to be effective. And the more effective it needs to be, and how you can solve it means you need more automations. And protocols, blockchains, Web3, DeFi means that you will more and more be able to automate all these routines humankind is doing every day. We talk about other examples as well. Have you ever used lending on chain? Some of you, Shelle?
I haven't ever used it on chain before, no. But I think it's, you know, it's absolutely fascinating. But I've never actually personally used it. Have you, Christopher, or anybody else? You have.
Anybody something to say about this? Oh, yeah.
Anybody else? No, I don't think. I think the answer is the same from our audience panel here. That I don't think anybody has.
So the thing is, these are lending and liquidity providing on exchanges. They are one of the biggest revenue streams for whales out there. Saying like this, like they are kind of a separate creature. So no, what I more mean is these are the tiny things the average consumer, for example, is not aware of, and there are reasons why, because financial utilities are very abstract. But the cool thing about Web3 and DeFi at the end is that there's more accessibility. But even now, it's more accessible technically or technologically. The problem is that even this is way too abstract. What we are currently doing, for example, within Ecosis network, end of this year, we have a graphical user interface where you can put some money into it, and then this is on Revolut bank account in the background, and the money is still yours. So you can take out your money and nothing this is totally riskless, because you cannot give the money is not used somewhere else. So there is the risk this cannot be back. It's just on bank account. So anyway, what we want to do is just with a single button, it uses protocols in the background that you can lend your money. So the thing, what it's recently is, the problem is either you need to go through to a big protocol on your traditional bank, and most people have not the time for it, not the money for it. But the traditional banks are not doing this automatically. Crypto is doing this automatically, but for crypto, it means you once need to have somehow the asset available. So you need to have an exchange somewhere, you need to trust an exchange, or you need even to understand how to use an exchange, which is not so complicated. And I can imagine that most of you is doing so, but to most of the people out there are not. They are not used to exchanges. They are afraid of, then they see they need to do KYC, then there's a good reason for this. I don't mean it like this, but there's a lot of things which look so abstract that the people are a little bit overwhelmed with all these things. And once you have your token, you need to understand how MetaMask is working, for example, and so on and so forth. And this is what I mean with mass adoption. The possibility that you can easily give your money away, in quotes, means that you can have some passive income. It's not much. It's only 10%. Average, okay, mostly something about 4% or so, but there's some with 20%. You come around with 8 and 10% a year, and this is not so much. But imagine the inflation is around about 10% when it comes to dollars, for example. Yeah, that means that you can just save your money with it. And the good thing with lending on chain is it's over collateralized in the background, so your money is not really that risk you don't risk your money like you go to a traditional bank, for example. This is something different here. So lending is recently 30% of the whole market, which is totally locked on chain like Ethereum, Polygon, and so on and so forth. And the exchanges are 36% here. And this is pretty interesting, which means that if this money is locked there and the traffic is relatively high here, it means that is more or less sustainable income for you. With a little bit of risk, if you put your money away into networks like this, with SushiSwap, Uniswap providing liquidity or something like this, or landing on Compound and Aave, which is anyway 10%, which is pretty much. So what's advanced people out there doing in the crypto space, but this is something you need to know. And what we want to do is to automate all this stuff for you. But what people are doing in the background and what our system is doing as well is that you put your money, you trade your money from fiat to crypto. You can use any exchanges out there, like for example, now.
Oh, Christopher, you're a little bit muffled there, darling.
Oh no.
Oh, got you back.
I'm back. What I wanted to say is, so they're separate parts of the process or steps of the process you need to go through. And what we do automatically is, and what other people do manually is, you have an exchange like Change Now. This is our new partner, by the way, and this is the system we use in the backend of our application. So you'll come from fiat to any crypto. Then you have any crypto, you can swap it to other tokens on chain, and then you use this token, go to, for example, Aave or something like this, go there, and then you land it into the protocol. And this is where the advanced people are doing this out there, and this is what we automate. And a lot of other platforms are automating this as well, because this is obvious. This is obvious that someone wants to put money to work, but don't need to worry about how does it work in the background, right? And there's still much opportunities in it right now. It's only the total value locked on smart contract-based platforms like Ethereum, Polygon, and so on and so forth is only 44 billion. Which is not that much. Even crypto, it's not good in the bearish times. It's the worst example right now, but crypto once hit 2 trillion, right? And now it's about 800 billion or so. This is just 1% of the financial global market. This is more or less nothing. And this is why I like to say we are way far away from mass adoption. But if these things like lending, liquidity providing, swapping tokens would be more automated and becomes with an easy to use graphical interface more accessible to the average consumer, the mass adoption will go to the moon more or less. The problem is what I said, times like these, people are afraid seeing this. People won't invest into crypto and use any of this so super surprising protocols if there's too much speculation on it. And I, for example, believe in stabilization. There are multiple things how you can do this with over-collateralizations, for example, and Circle.com with USD coin, for example, or Euro coin is doing this. Tether, a lot of people question this, but they say they are doing this as well, and so on and so forth. I believe this is a good solution because the volatility is good if you are an advanced investor and you know about the market, but the most people don't want to know about the market, and they're looking for something which is doing this for them. But anyway, they want to use these advantages. And I believe there's so much space now when it comes to stabilized assets, and the people are more willing to use such things. But the problem with USD and USDC and so on is it's patched to fiat anyway, which means that their value are inflating. So what we do is within the transaction fee, a tiny transaction fee is used to share this within a multi-sig wallet owned by our delegates in the network, where we can more and more over the time of traffic and transactions over collateralize the asset. And this is how the asset becomes kind of deflationary. It's not really deflationary, but the value is not just stabilized to $1. It becomes $1.01, $1.02, or $1.03. And the only way to do this is if this is algorithmically backed with money and real money in the background, you know? And we see that the trend is going there more and more and more, because the people want less volatility. They want to maximize their financial and their capital by putting money to work, for example, but they want something easy to use, and they want something which is stabilized and can use within the real world market. But there are dozens of other examples. A lot of you use Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, and all these things. And which is really interesting is, it's a complete other trend here. For example, that social media becomes more decentralized and rewards the people using this social media accounts. And I pretty believe in this. One thing is, what I expect is the ownership thing, that you own your content because it's certificated, so to say, in the background, with keys, and you own it, and you can, nobody can touch it, and so on and so forth. But the second thing is when it comes to curations. So when it comes to that, you as a creator can grow your community. You have your followers who are engaging and who are contributing to your work, and want to get rewarded as well. And I believe in platforms in the future who are redistributing their collected fees, their earnings, to its users. And Sound XYZ, for example, is doing like this. There is music traded, and there is curation of this music and traffic on this music, and this collects money, and this money gets redistributed. Once it gets redistributed to the owner, who can sell the license of the music, so to say, and secondly, that the user can participate when it comes to curations. And I believe, especially for artists, and there are more and more artists out there struggling with money, and the reason is relatively simple. Art culture is very accessible nowadays. Everybody wants to become an artist, let me say it like this, which is good because it's about culture. But the problem is that even this is inflating somehow. So all these partners out there having with advertisement, referrals, affiliates, and so on and so forth, they pay more and more people. That means that less people can have bigger earnings nowadays. So on one side, it's good because it supports our platforms, supports artists. There's accessibility. You can be creative. You can be a star by your own, and so on and so forth, which is good. But at the same time, they don't do the money like they have done in early days. But even then, only few have won. Anyway, the principle is good. Redistributing revenues, and this is how you can. This is where we come back to the passive income revenue stream. This could be one of them. That besides you're selling your tickets for your open airs and so on and so forth, for your concerts, you just can have your passive income stream, not just with advertising, way better with engagement of the community. And this is definitely more and more the future. For example, I use PicD. This year a little bit less. This year I made $18 a year. It's not that much, as you see, but just to have a proof of concept here, this is really brilliant. So this is and social media like Facebook, as you know, but instead of that Facebook is collecting the revenue, this platform shares the rewards. So long story short, if people like it, you earn coins out of it. And the more people have engaged with your post, for example, by reposting it, by liking it, by mentioning the post, by commenting on this, they receive a reward from your reward as well. And this is pretty brilliant, in my opinion, because this, first of all, motivates your community to engage and supports you, but more or less, the whole community, it's a win-win market at the end. And this is why I say the future is redistributing revenue to its users. And there's several ways how you can do so, and this is one. Imagine Uber or Airbnb would do such thing. Imagine that because of all those transactions and then all this revenue made, a percentage is used to redistribute. Uber and so on have business models recently, so they won't profit that much. They will ruin themselves, but platforms who can build this from scratch with a new business model approach, they will more and more do this. And this is something at Ecosis what our goal is. This principle is passive income from transaction fees. And I believe the future will be, if you be a part of a platform, that means that you can earn from the platform's earning. this is the future, how it is, I believe. Have you ever experienced something like this? Have you used social media account where you get rewarded for likes or something like this? Do you know something like this?
Well, I've used something similar. More of an alternative to WhatsApp, I guess, or Telegram, where you are paid and you can take the money out, convert it into fiat, and take the money out. And the proof of concept is there for me in my experience, because you know, I was able to take, you know, some money out, not a lot. But like you said, you know, it's basically the more you engage in that platform, the more you know, use it, send messages to friends, family, phone calls, whatever it is, you accrue tokens, which then you can convert into fiat. And it's great, you know, because this is something that I do anyway, but now I'm getting paid for it. And you know, it's not a lot of money, like I said, but you know, the proof of concept is there. And you know, if enough people were to onboard over time and in the future, then you know, I kind of earning money for doing what I'd be doing anyway, but on another platform. So yeah, so I've had some experience of this, and you know, I think, you know, Christopher, you know, if anybody wants to know more about what you've been sharing with us today, or wants to have a conversation with you or whatever like that, what you know, what advice would you give them? Where do they find you? What can they do?
Yeah, so you can find me on LinkedIn. This is the best platform at the end, because I like the engagement of LinkedIn, especially in the crypto space, and it's pretty interesting to see all these different ideas to bring this all to the real world at the end. And if you say, for examples like Sweatcoin or something like this, I've seen this, that you go jogging, you do some sport, and you earn your rewards with this, and then you can trade it back to your fiat. This is pretty interesting. You can go buy some good sport. Anyway, on LinkedIn, you can find me with Christopher Muller and Ecosis. You will see it at the end of the slides, I believe. Yeah. So how is it, Shelle? Are we still in time, or I'm not pretty sure if
Yeah, I think we're good. I think, you know, that I think what you've shared today has been tremendously insightful and helpful, not only to our panel here, but to our audience members that will be watching back on the recording. You know, it's always a pleasure to have you with us. And you know, your knowledge and valuable insights are always just absolutely tremendous. And you know, I would just say to anybody, you know, if you've got any questions for Christopher, or you know, you want to become involved or whatever it is, I'm sure, like you said, Christopher, you wouldn't mind them connecting with you, would you?
Yeah, this would be awesome. Yeah, it would be really good, because what we do here, we mean this really seriously, and everything what I'm talking about here is all background what is there, and what the people are looking for. But we believe the world is more or less waiting for this, and this is why we're looking for any experts in any specific field. When it comes to from lawyer, business developer, from software developer, enthusiast, designer, all these things, because at the end, the world is one package out of a build or bundled with a lot of beautiful and amazing people out there. And at the end, it's about networking with the right people and doing something great, what your world needs in the future, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, if anybody you know, can't or isn't able to become involved directly individually, you know, obviously if you know somebody and are happy to make introductions, that's always a great thing to do. It's great to make introductions and offer opportunities to other people, or you know, just look after each other, because you know, it is a volatile place out there. You know, the world has seen some, you know, huge changes over the last few years, you know, not just in crypto and tech, but you know, if we go back to the COVID pandemic, you know, as human beings, we've all encountered many challenges and changes. And I think, you know, it's more important now than ever to come together as humans and keep each other safe and, you know, share capabilities and opportunities. And, you know, the coming together in a human way is really quite something, and it's very powerful, I believe.
Yeah, I believe too, especially these times. These are tough, but we all can learn much. And maybe you can say the market needs to learn as well. This is pretty interesting to see, because we know about all these patterns. It's mostly all the same patterns, and something is hype, how bubbles get bigger and bigger and bigger, and someone explodes. We all know about it. It's more about consciousness at the end. And I really like the engagement for all these people out there. And sometimes, but I believe it's everybody maybe feels like this. It's all a little bit, I'm afraid of somehow that the world splitting more and more because of such times. But in the same thing, you can do this. You can watch it from another perspective and see that every time then the world is more about splitting. After this, the world is about coming together. And I believe that the winter will be tough, but what does it mean? That doesn't mean that it can be good, you know. And I mean, there are some other actions on the world, like the war, etc., which we cannot handle directly. But I believe everybody learns more and more to take the best out of everything, and we are all in a good wave of new opportunities, if you like so.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's challenging but exciting times. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how everything unfolds and develops over, you know, coming years, and certainly for, you know, for everybody. I mean, certainly for younger generations, it's very exciting you know, to be in the world at this time of life. But even for myself, you know, who is the more mature generation, you know, I feel very blessed to be part of this and to be witnessing and learning, because every day is a learning day for me. You know, but you know, it's great to be part of it, and it's you know, it's really a worldwide community, isn't it? You know, it's just it's so lovely, and you know, I feel very blessed today to be able to talk to all of you, you know, from different parts of the world, you know, and thankful that the technology has made that possible. So you know, it's quite something.
Yeah, that's true. So maybe it's not only a community, it's a whole movement, so to say.
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah. So at the end, I was wondering about some few numbers, but let's get quickly more or less to the end here. So this is something, for example, we are working on recently. Yeah. So you have your online shop where you can buy directly out with crypto. And how does it look like? Is you deposit some money, you get your rewards, you get your passive income, and you receive a deposit token, which is called nomics. And it only represents your money in the background on the bank account. And what we do, for example, is for the user, it's like you go shopping. It looks like Amazon more or less, and you can use it with Amazon, eBay, and so on and so forth. But only for businesses, this is good because they can. We have a plugin which you can inject into Shopify, and for example, when you have a Shopify e-commerce, you can inject this, and this is how you can receive money in fiat and crypto or whatever. And this is something I've experienced here locally when I was talking about this. This is something people more or less need. They need something you just can put a button and directly do something with this. And then I believe the next years, this will come more and more. Or another example is IOTA. I won't say this is my favorite project, but they are the prominence of this. Like cars, devices out there, they are paying their bills, if you like so, constantly autonomous. And for example, when the future will be like, then you drive your car on the street, the car will be charged through the street, through the concrete, and the car is paying this automatically in the background. And because of all these transactions, fees get redistributed to the participants, like other businesses and other cars, and so on and so forth. And this is the last thing I wanted to talk about, is the metaverse aspect, because the most people see it like it's kind of a game. You go into the virtual world and then you can do something in the virtual world. That's first of all true in an abstract way, but the good thing is that the virtual world, there's a reason why it's a need, and the reason is simply that the the space on Earth is limited, and the people are more and more get used to virtual stuff, and they see that they can have emotions within this as well. And the interesting thing is that people, species always look for niches, right? And the interesting thing is that the metaverse more like is like you go out into the space, you have endless, you have infinite space which you can where you can build in. And this is why I believe metaverse is not just a virtual space, it just is an extension of the real world. And the future market, honestly, will more look like something like this. Amazon, for example, is bringing out the AR shopping feature, and more apps will come out when you have your real world environment, but you can extend this with things. For example, in this case, with items like a share, which you want to buy, and you want to check out if this looks good in your flat, for example. Yeah. And I believe more of these things will come. Then you go, I don't know, into a club or something like this, and you can turn on to your smartphone, and then you have some yeah, I don't know, you have all your advertising partners in 3D flying around or whatever. The world, it's crazy. We all know about this. And this is why this will more and more come. And we all know already about Decentraland. And this is just an example how the virtual world look like. But now imagine the combination of both. And the future way of experiencing the market will be completely different. Even when you go into a coffee shop and you want to buy a coffee, that you just can have a look, or in a clothing shop maybe better, that you can have a look how it looks in the real world size, and so on and so forth. This will be pretty amazing. Well, anyway, this is all about me. This is Christopher Muller from Ecosis Network. You can find me on LinkedIn like this, Christopher Muller, Ecosis. You directly find me. There's nothing else like this. And yeah, there's a lot to do for us all, but there's a lot of opportunities for us all.
Yeah, fabulous. Thank you so much for your time today, Christopher. I've really enjoyed. I always enjoy speaking with you and listening to your insights and everything. I always learn so much as well. So thank you so much. And you know, it's been quite uplifting hearing you today. You know, it's quite exciting and quite uplifting. And yeah, I definitely get a feel good factor from you, Christopher, always. To our audience, I'd just like to say thank you for watching back this recording. Really appreciate it, SheFAB and the team here. It certainly is always a pleasure. Thank you so much, everybody. And equally, if anybody would like to hear from any industry experts in relation to any particular areas in this space, reach out to one of the SheFAB team. You can find us on LinkedIn, reach out to us and put those nominations forward or those requests. If anybody would like to join us and be a fabulous guest speaker where we all learn together, because everybody's learning still, please again reach out to one of the SheFAB team. You can find us on LinkedIn mainly, and put yourself forward. We'd love to hear from you. So and in the meantime, please, you know, like, follow, share everything. You know, we're better when we're together, we're stronger when we come together. And yeah, let's keep learning together. I think that's what it's all about. So Christopher, would you be kind enough to come back in the future and join us, and you know, maybe share some information about DAOs, because I know our audience is really interested in learning more about DAOs, and that would be so great. What do you think?
Yeah, sure. I would love to. I mean, especially because I believe deeply in my heart that DAOs are the future of businesses, and I really would love to talk about it. First of all, how they are organized, what is it technically, how does it look like and feel like for a user, and what are examples of DAOs. It would be awesome. Sure,
yeah, I'd love that. That would be great. So as soon as we finish this call, Christopher, I think we'll be booking you in the diary. You don't get away that easily. And yeah, we'll get you back to speak about DAOs. How about that, audience? That is amazing. We get to find out so much more about DAOs, you know, from this industry expert and this really great human being as well, Christopher Muller. Thank you again for today, Christopher. I can't thank you enough. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you next time.
Yeah, me too. Looking forward. It's a pleasure. See you.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.